Hello and welcome to another video. Um, Today we talk a little bit about 9th edition, but also about the Badab War. I myself am a huge Badab fan, and I have Mantis Warriors. And I always wanted to make Badab War a thing on the channel. I'm not as knowledgeable in Badab War as in Heresy, if I am even knowledgeable in Heresy, but that's another question. So I think we will dip our toes in 9th edition. So for me, the Badab War is just amazing. I mean, it's lore by Alan Bly. How can it not be amazing? And I have my Mantis Warriors. A lot of you have seen them. And yeah, I will talk about how I built my Mantis Warriors on this channel as well. So now let's get to the breakdown of the 9th edition Q&A. So basically, the first question was from the Q&A stream yesterday. What can fans of Horde armies look forward to in this edition? Then they say there's lots of things that will help assault armies. For example, they changed the terrain, that it blocks line of sight more, and you can shoot like through over half the map, because you see the tip of a wing of a. They said Carnifex. I think they wanted to say like maybe Hive Tyrant, but who knows. So basically, you can't just shoot from your antenna to the antenna of someone else. It's a good choice, because it was very irritating in Warhammer 40k. And then there's stratagems that makes melee armies run over the map more, which is nice, I guess. I always remember when knights were overpowered, I had like a Talon army. I put a lot of work into them, playing them, and painting them up, getting parts to make them look like Talon. And I got second turn, and because of the terrain, half my army was destroyed. Gladly, I could like infiltrate my Baneblade with my Talon army, but that didn't help a lot. Let's be honest here. That wasn't good. That wasn't good enough. So that is a good change. So then the second question was, will core turn mechanics be changing? I mean, to be honest, I don't think that. Changing activations, like activating one unit, or like in bold action, where you randomly activate units when you draw dice. I don't think that's very necessary, because in Heresy you have for example, you have like night fighting, and night fighting helps sometimes, because the first turn, like almost everything gets a cover save if it's not a Titan or a gargantuan creature. So that's a good thing, I guess. Okay, then we get to the third question. Can you tell us a bit more about how strategic reserves will work in practice? Okay, so basically, you can spend command points for strategic reserves, and then you can flank like in later turns. So they rework the deep strike rules, which I find is okay. I mean, the deep strike rules before were kinda iffy, because you had like all your troops, and then you could basically have alpha strike if you have the second turn, which is like something that shouldn't happen. And I don't think that this will be or I think they said this won't be affecting units that have deep strikes already. So you can put troops in reserve using command points that normally can't deep strike, or I don't think of outflanking is a thing, but they have mentioned outflanking, so maybe. Then, question 4. Can you talk a little bit more about how terrain will work? Then he says, like, terrain is not only there to block line of sight. There will be more fun ways to interact with it, and he says terrain will have a really fun impact. So maybe minefields return. Who knows? And he says that it's like a third player on the map. So basically, they want to make simple terrain rules which are clear to understand and impact the game. That's alright. I mean, Heresy is not a perfect game, by no means. But I think 8th had a lot more problems. That's why I stopped playing 8th. But what I read about 9th makes me want to play the game. So I'm cautiously enthusiastic. And since I have some Mantis Warriors for 40k, I have an army where I can play like small games to look in to 9th edition. So then, question 5 is, what does the new edition do to help Tyranids? Basically, anything tanks can do, monsters can do as well, if not better. The monsters will be fighting in your fighting phase and shooting in your shooting phase. So basically what they said is, like in the trailer, 9 things that are awesome about 9th edition. Tanks can fire from combat, which I find very, very good. If they can't give me that 30 Gretchen over the course of a game can like bog down my tank, then they at least can give me that my tank can shoot when a Gretchen with a knife essentially tries to destroy Lehman Russ. That's a good thing. So I think it's an okay change. The balance for monsters is kind of always a little bit iffy, I find, because if monsters are too strong, vehicles are just bad, and Tyranids are broken. If monsters are weak, Tyranids are useless, and Imperial Guard is too strong. So let's see how they balance this. Seems like Necrons are getting a lot of nice models too. So question 6 was, will missions and scoring be changing? And then Pete says, what we are trying to achieve with this edition was go back to 3 ways to play. What's good for match play isn't necessarily good for narrative play, competitive play, blah blah blah. So basically what he says is, there will be 3 different ways to play the game, as I read to you. Basically there will be different scoring for competitive, narrative and matched play, which I find alright. What I found in 8th edition is that a lot of the players that came into 8th play Warhammer like it's StarCraft. What I mean by that is they just try to bring the best army on the board they can. They don't care if they like the looks of one unit. So that's not the way I played Warhammer. I mean, I'm playing Mantis Warriors Mini Marines for a Badab War list, so yeah. I yeah. So I hope the missions help. I hope it helps bring back people that are into playing more narrative games back, or entices that a little more. Um, I mean, question 7 is if there's still random weapons and random shots. They said yes, but blasts helps against hordes. So basically, templates, although I like them, are complex and they add a lot of discussion to the game, which is unnecessary. Because, oh, is this model under the template? Is this model not under the template? Whatever. Then you have like the deviation of the blast template. And then you have to you catch my drift. It's a long process. So saying that weapon has random shots, but if it hits a horde, it has a set amount of shots. Good. If it hits a 5-man Space Marine squad, random amount of shots. I don't like the random thing, but if I'm honest to my heart, even as an Iron Warriors player in 30k, templates are a little random too. Q8 is just, can all the chapters use all the toys? They say yes, including Deathwatch. Q9 is, what about Deathwatch? So they said they have a plan for Deathwatch and that they will they have listened about Deathwatch and they will soon after 8th edition after 9th edition, sorry, the Deathwatch will get their changes. Basically, if you ask me, the Deathwatch, it needs Primaris kill teams, but not like it's 5 intercessors, 1 Hellblaster, 1 Inceptor, 1 Reaver, whatever. They need kill teams, like the Deathwatch kill teams. I mean, you have Space Marine, Primaris Space Marine bikes, which are basically Space Marine bikes now. So we know the Primaris Marines will replace the Space Marines. So basically, just give them kill teams with frag cannons, heavy bolters with heavy flamers. That's like Deathwatch. That's what Deathwatch is. I mean, also a part of Deathwatch is that there's a Terminator within the squad which has a Cyclone missile launcher. But also part of the Deathwatch is basically everyone can have a Storm Shield. Basically everyone can have a power weapon. You catch my drift. Deathwatch needs real Deathwatch units, even for Primaris. Q10, are my mini marines, normal marines still usable? Yes. What other major players may return this question? So the Silent King is returning. I didn't want to spoil it for you, but yeah, he's coming back. Stu said, don't peek under the Christmas tree. And then there's a lot of things, but I will only there's a lot of things that is around books and all, but I will just go into the rules. So basically, there's question 15, which says, can I always hit on 6s, please? And that is like, that's a thing. So basically, if you had an Alightok flyer, he could get -3 to hit. So guards couldn't hit it anymore, because you can't roll a 7, right? And 7+ is a thing in 8. Because the Poxwalkers have a 7-up armor save, so if they are in cover, they get a 6 up. I mean, that's a good change. And it goes in with another question where they said you can never have any better modifiers than +1 or -1. Thanks. Thanks so much. So basically, you don't have to fear that that an Elder or Dark Elder player chooses to not get hit by you because you only hit on 4-ups. This is such a good change. A lot of gamey things get removed from 8th edition. That's why I'm giving it a chance and even mentioning on it on the channel. Also, command points get changed. Something I don't like about the game, but if it gets changed, it's alright. Now you get command points from your army strength. So 500, 1000, 1500, 2000 points, whatever. That's a game you agree upon, and that's how many command points you get. Everybody gets the same amount of command points. I said it at the beginning of the edition that this whole I get more command points because I can have more units is bullshit. It really is. And yeah, they changed it, so kudos to them. Morale phase will be reworked, so Reavers and Night Lords aren't useless. I hope so, because I didn't like the morale phase in 8th edition at all. Power level is still a thing, but nobody cares about power level. Never saw somebody that cares about power level. Mortal wounds work the same. Yes, I don't like it, but whatever. Soup will soup be viable? Yeah, but you need to requisition them with command points. So if you want to bring your loyal 32 to your Custodes army, you will have to pay command points. Yeah, no more CP batteries, so that's what I talked about. So basically that's been it. I've been rambling for 17 minutes now. Thank you for watching. There will be a lot of 40k content on the channel, especially Badab War